Hey guys, really quick before we get into this episode, I just want to mention that I did a guest spot, a guest voiceover work thing on the Endless Elsewhere podcast from our friend JP Leck. He is a mainstay from our Shocktober in Irvington days. Check out endlesselsewhere.com for the whole timeline of books, podcasts, comic books, short films, feature films, all of these things that he does, all in the Circle City, the Endless Elsewhere universe. So I did a voice cameo, a voice appearance on the Endless Elsewhere podcast where I played Atom Bomb. That episode is out on the Endless Elsewhere podcast, the Lone Pallbearer Halloween special. I have a link in the show notes for this as well. So go check it out. Go check out endlesselsewhere.com. Check out JP's work, support him and everything. He's a fantastic guy, and I had a lot of fun. So now on to the episode.
It's coming in air quotes, infused with the scent of potpourri. Films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes and content, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, where you also get early access to episodes. This one, if all goes as planned, should have gone up like 48 hours before the episode dropped. But other than that, on Patreon, you can get access to immediate reaction recordings. I'm currently doing a read-along, walk-along review series on Stephen King's The Long Walk, where basically I am going to trails around where I live and walking while listening to the audiobook for The Long Walk, and then walking while I talk about the chapters that I listen to. It is very satisfying and grueling, but it's a fun project. I've got a few more episodes to pump out of that, but yeah, I'm really enjoying that. And also, I do have a free episode up on Patreon for anyone who signs up for a free membership can get access to a sneak preview episode of what I'm calling the Gotham Project, which I'm going to launch on Patreon proper behind the paywall in January. Basically, I'm going to just be recording episodes where I just talk about Batman, comics, books, or comics, movies, TV shows, video games, the whole stuff. So I have a special sneak preview episode up on Patreon for paid and free members. So check that out at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And yeah, we're on the cusp of awards season, and Heartland Film Festival is like a jump skipping away. So I'm going to be having a bunch of stuff on there for those two things as well. So once again, you can sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for all of that and a bunch more content. It also helps support what we do here at Obsessive Viewer. And if you want to support me without messing around with Patreon, just want to do like oh, hey, here's a donation, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. So that's the keeping the lights on segment. Later in the show, this week, we're going to be reviewing the second entry in Renny Harlin's The Strangers trilogy, The Strangers Chapter 2 in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to go over some movie news and Indianapolis screenings before reviewing the new Benny Safdie movie, The Smashing Machine, in this week's feature review. And joining me this week is my friend and IFJA colleague, whose work can be found at MidwestFilmJournal.com, and he can be followed on Letterboxd at the handle of Sam Movie Man. It is Sam Watermeier, the one and only. Welcome back to the show, Sam. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm excited to talk to you too. I'm very excited to talk about these two movies because, You were on last year for episode 429, where we reviewed I Saw the TV Glow and The Strangers Chapter 1. So it's going to be nice to have you back to talk about The Strangers Chapter 2, for better or worse. Not to spoil the review or anything, but so I'm excited to have you back on the show.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. This series, The Strangers, the new trilogy, I've committed to reviewing for Midwest Film Journal.
Nice. And
I'm trying to stick with it, and I'm excited to talk about where it's going.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. So we'll see what happens when the third one comes out, but we'll get to that eventually. But so as you mentioned, you do have a review of The Strangers Chapter 2 up on MidwestFilmJournal.com, where you also have posted there are quick take reviews of Twinless and Lurker, and you also reviewed the new Mark Maron documentary, Are We Good? And just today, I believe, as of this recording, as of press time, you have a review of the Spawn 4K UHD release from Arrow. So you've been a busy little bee. I don't know why I said that. How do you feel about these these movies, sans The Strangers Chapter 2? Like, what? How do you feel about the work you've put out at MidwestFilmJournal.com?
Well, I've been having a blast with my latest reviews, mostly because they're very me movies. My friends know that I'm a huge Mark Maron fan.
Yes.
Pretty devoted. I would watch him read the phone book for 90 minutes. Thankfully, that's not what the documentary entails. It's much more interesting. But, I was bound to love that movie regardless. And Spawn is a childhood, a lifelong favorite, really.
Wow.
I'm for those who know me, I'm quite the 90s nerd. And I think Spawn is like one of the ultimate 90s movies. It wears its age right on its sleeve. And especially in 4K, boy, those special effects don't hold up. And seeing them in crystal clear picture quality is quite the experience. You really get a sense of how back then the special effects were not unlike Sega Genesis graphics.
Oh no. Okay.
But I love Spawn. So nice. I'm Are We Good and Spawn were two movies I was happy to geek out about this week.
Very nice. I will put links in the show notes to all of Sam's work and everything and his Letterboxd, but I have got to speak my truth and admit to you that I have never seen Spawn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. So
if we were dating, this would be like one of the movies I would make you watch to understand me.
I thought you were going to say level. It would be a deal breaker.
No. I mean, I would enjoy. I would say you're in for a treat. Nice. I think it's hard for me to watch it without the like haze of nostalgia around it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. I was 6 years old when it came out. And I've seen it like countless times since then. So it's kind of hard for me to be like objective about it. So I'd be curious to hear what someone your age seeing it for the first time, what that experience would be like. So, and you might watch it and think I'm an idiot. So
no, never. I will have to check it out at some point and report back because I'm curious. And I trust your judgment. So
if you don't trust mine, you might trust Roger Ebert's 3.5-star review.
Ooh, nice.
In which he said Spawn is an experimental art film, and as a visual experience, it's unforgettable.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he really stood out at the time with that rave review.
Nice.
So, there's
Very
that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that is what Sam has been up to over at MidwestFilmJournal.com. Also, check out Midwest Film Journal's No Sleep October series. I didn't contribute anything this year, but there are a ton of great writers over there who are in the process of pumping out some really great essays over there. So check that out, MidwestFilmJournal.com. And Sam, would you oblige me? Is that the word? Yeah. In talking about what's playing in Indy this week.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. And I'll talk again about Heartland here in a bit, but I do want to hit on a few things. Alamo Drafthouse, of course, our friend and colleague Lou Harry does the movie trivia on the first and third Sunday of each month, and that's free to play, free to enter. You just go in with solo or with the team, what have you. That is at Alamo Drafthouse, and the Alamo is doing a 31 Days of Horror series where each day they're showing a horror movie or Halloween themed movie. So this weekend on Saturday, I believe they're showing It, the 2017 movie. And on Sunday, the 11th, I think, they're showing The Silence of the Lambs in 35 millimeter, which is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't even realize they had like a film projector there. I assumed that it was all just digital, so that's wild to me.
Yeah, I thought only the Artcraft did that sort of thing. Same. I might have to catch that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. I feel like I have something on my schedule that day, which is heartbreaking. But yeah, okay, that's the Sunday the 12th. Yeah. So maybe. But anyway, they're also next week throughout the week they're showing The Babadook and Hereditary. And a bunch of other stuff throughout the month. Later in the month, they're going to have the original Scream and Scream 2. So I'm hoping to catch both of those because I can't pass up the opportunity to see either of those movies in the theater. So that's what's going on at Alamo. I have a link to Alamo Drafthouse here in Indy in the show notes of the episode. By the way, those show notes are available at obsessiveviewer.com/OV489 as well. And moving on to the Can Theater. This is showing my hand a little bit with the news segment coming up, but the Can is showing several Robert Redford movies. So this weekend on Friday the 10th and Sunday the 12th, they're showing All the President's Men. On the 10th and 11th, they're showing The Sting. On the 11th and 12th, they're showing Sneakers. And on the 13th, they're showing The Candidate. So I want to see all of these. I don't think I'm going to be able to see any of them, but All the President's Men is incredible. So it would be great to see that in the theater. So yeah. How do you feel about the Can Robert Redfording stuff?
That's exciting. I've only seen 2 of the 4. I love All the President's Men and The Sting. Haven't seen Sneakers or The Candidate. I've always wanted to. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to make that.
Nice.
Or I'm sure I'll catch up with those eventually.
Oh, absolutely. And to be completely honest, I've only seen All the President's Men of those 4. So I really need to watch The Sting for sure.
It's a lot of fun. I think you'd like it.
Nice. Well, speaking of things that we'll both like, the terrible segue, Heartland Film Festival is coming. So this week they've kicked off basically by the time people are listening to this. Thursday the 9th is the opening night. They're showing Rental Family. Is that the name of the movie? Yeah. They're showing that for their opening film. I'm going to be there with my own rental family, which is everyone in the audience. But very excited. Heartland Film Festival is just awesome. And as I mentioned in last episode, our friend and colleague from the IFJ, Richard Probst, has a documentary that he is the subject of that is playing at Heartland. So just to give that another push of promotion here, the Tenderness Tour is going to be streamable in the US only, but it's streamable throughout the festival from October 9th to October 19th. So you can go purchase a digital ticket, or you can go see it in person on Saturday, October 11th, or Monday, October 13th, or Saturday, October 18th. I will be at the Monday, October 13th screening at Alamo. Yeah, I'm very excited to see Richard's documentary, the documentary about Richard. Yeah, I'm very excited. Excited for him and excited about it. Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I'll see you Monday as well.
Nice.
I'll do a little plug here for Midwest Film Journal. We'll actually have an interview with Richard and the director of the movie, Andy Redwine, up soon. Evan Dossie interviewed them, and yeah, I'm really excited about Richard's documentary. Yeah. I've always thought his life would translate to the big screen really well. So Absolutely. He has a really inspiring, really interesting life story. So I can't wait to see it.
Same here. And I was going to say, like, dang, okay, you guys got Richard for an interview. That's such a get. Cause we're all friends with him and everything, but, I need to reach out to him and see if he has time to come on the podcast to talk about it. I really dropped the ball on that. So, maybe that'll come up at some point, but I know he's a very busy man. So, but yeah, I'm very excited for him and for the festival as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that is what is playing around Indy, coming up and soon. So I will have links to all of these, theaters in the show notes as always. And yeah, I highly recommend going and checking out Heartland and the special screenings at Can and Alamo Drafthouse and all the other like special screenings that happen here in Indianapolis. Just, support the local film community any way you can. So that is all going to be in the show notes of this episode. Now, Sam, before we get to the Smashing Machine, would you like to go over a couple of news items before the reviews items?
Yes, please.
Sweet. Awesome. And for the video component, there is a cat.
Yeah, this is my sweet boy Parabola. He needed some attention.
Aw.
So I'm petting him like a diabolical Bond villain.
Yes. Which is kind of fitting because one of the news items is that Heat 2 has moved from Warner Brothers to Amazon MGM as Michael Mann's sequel gains traction. I say that because of Bond being in Amazon and all that. But yeah, Heat 2. So I know that there's a novel. I have not read the novel. I don't know much of anything about the plot of the sequel or anything, but nonetheless, Heat is an incredible movie. So I'm very curious to see what Heat 2 would look like going through the Amazon MGM kind of factory. How do you feel about this news about Heat 2 getting set up, hopefully, at Amazon MGM?
Will it be a streaming movie or theatrically released? Or
that's a really good question because I would hope that it would be theatrical.
Yeah,
but who knows? I mean, it could be. So it was originally set up at Warner Brothers, but the studio. I'm reading from Variety. The studio let the filmmakers shop around the film after disagreeing on the budget, according to the Hollywood Reporter, which broke the news of the potential sale. So that makes me wonder if if there's concern about budget, I hope that it doesn't mean it's going to be like a small like streaming movie. That would be, I feel like that would not be good.
I mean, I'm excited regardless. The original is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's, a crime classic. This one has a pretty stacked cast. Adam Driver, Austin Butler. Gosh, who else is in it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But Michael Mann is looking to possibly shoot it in 2026. So
nice.
It is actually along in the process. That's good.
Saw something about Leonardo DiCaprio being involved.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he would be in it or just helping produce it.
Says he's eyed to take over late Val Kilmer's role.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Huh.
All right.
I'm game.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes of this episode, of course. And the other piece of news I want to bring up is one that I did not include in last week's episode, and I feel bad about that. But back on September, when was it? September 16th, Robert Redford passed away. Robert Redford, of course, was just a massive star for decades, and he has some of the most like iconic roles under his acting filmography, and he also was a director and everything. But of course, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men, The Sting, as we mentioned before, just an incredible legacy he leaves behind. And I just wanted to take a moment to kind of commemorate the memory of Robert Redford and his legacy as he has passed away. Sam, any thoughts on Robert Redford?
I mean, I loved him as an actor, as a director. I loved the movie Quiz Show, which he directed. He's so important in the film community in the sense of establishing the Sundance Film Festival, which is huge. And, tons of classic movies and roles under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a loss. He made a great impression in the world of film and just the world in general. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
So I would recommend going and seeing any Robert Redford movie, either directed or acted. Go check them out at Can also. So rest in peace to Robert Redford. Again, just an incredible legacy he leaves behind. Just really, really impressive body of work. So on that note, would you like Sam to go into our feature review of the evening, which is for A24's The Smashing Machine?
Yes, please. Let's smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yes. I can't top that. Yep. So yeah, let's do that. So we are going to be reviewing The Smashing Machine, which is currently in theaters. It was released in theaters on October 3rd, 2025. And of course, we're going to do a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review. When we switch around to spoilers, I'll play a clip from the trailer. If you want to navigate around that, check the show notes for timestamps. Once again, those show notes are at obsessiveviewer.com/OV489. So the premise of The Smashing Machine, according to IMDb, is the story of mixed martial arts and UFC champion Mark Kerr. This movie was written and directed by Benny Safdie, and the cast includes Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Bader, and Emily Blunt. So, Sam, before we get started, I want to ask you, did you have any foreknowledge of the story of Mark Kerr or his history, or did you know anything about him before watching this movie?
I had no clue who Mark Kerr was. I had never seen the documentary, which has the same title. Mm-hmm. I've read a few reviews, including Evans at Midwest Film Journal, that say the movie resembles the documentary pretty closely, almost to the point of like shot-for-shot recreation. Obviously, I can't speak to that. I didn't get a chance to watch the documentary before watching the movie. So I'm just going in, judging it on its own. Obviously I was curious about this movie as Benny Safdie's debut outside of his partnership with his brother, Josh Safdie. There was a lot of buzz around Dwayne Johnson's performance. So that's really the only knowledge I brought to it.
Nice. And I was in the same boat. I did not know much of anything about, or I didn't know anything about Mark Kerr. And that kind of, that world is completely foreign to me. I don't know anything about, anything really, but I don't know anything about, professional, fighting, MMA, UFC, all of that. So having said that, I had also heard that about the documentary being very close to it and it being very close to the documentary. The documentary came out in 2002, I believe. And I am really kind of thankful to myself, for not, seeing the documentary beforehand, because that created in me this sense of nervousness throughout it, because the energy of the movie is really interesting in the way that it shows him as kind of a soft, tender person, but there's that rage that kind of comes out in certain points, and there's the violence of the fighting and everything. Because I didn't know anything about the backstory, I was kind of bracing myself for, a potential, a potential sort of movie. And I won't say whether or not we got that, but it was really something. I was really glad that I didn't, that I didn't know anything about the story going into it. Yeah. So did you feel that way, or did you regret not seeing the documentary beforehand?
No, I'm really glad I didn't watch it, because I think I would have been looking for similarities, just based on what I read. But, and yeah, it's, the tone is interesting because Mark Kerr is interesting in the sense that he's kind of unpredictable as a character. He has the body of a Hulk, but the spirit of such a kind of teddy bear. He's oddly gentle in the way he interacts with people for the most part. And he seems to be putting on kind of a facade of extreme politeness, and sort of putting on a bit of a performance. And I agree, the movie creates this strong sense of anxiety surrounding when he's going to actually match his kind of exterior hulking nature, if that makes sense. Like, he seems like he's kind of like ready to explode. The sort of the way his body has, like, I'm glad I didn't see the documentary portrait of him in that sense, because then I would have obviously known what to expect. And so I thought Dwayne Johnson, I keep wanting to call him The Rock, which is interesting. I mean, like, we should mention that you can't help but think about Dwayne Johnson's history as a fighting persona. And like, unlike Mark Kerr, he was kind of cocky and brash as the Rock character, you know, both in and outside the ring. But this is really interesting in the sense that, like, Mark Kerr seems very restrained outside of the ring. Like, like I said, like, he's trying to maintain this politeness, this kind of like gentle nature. And that makes for a really interesting character.
Yeah, it's a very interesting juxtaposition with, again, the kind of the more intense drama that unfolds throughout it. That kind of escalates, the tension goes a certain way that makes you kind of, at least it was my experience, and it sounds like it was yours, that it kind of feels like it's just inching towards something that is maybe a little shocking in some respects. But I won't say whether or not it gets there. There's some pretty interesting developments in the plot throughout it, but I kind of feel like there was, in terms of plot, I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like a dick, but it kind of felt to me like the movie didn't really know what story it wanted to tell exactly. Like, the movie takes place over the course of 3 years. So 1997 to 2000, or 1999. Math is hard. So the opening title card says that this takes place between these 3 years. And throughout it, you see, like, him struggling with performance enhancing drugs and certain, like, medical things, maybe not even performance enhancing drugs, but he struggles throughout the movie. But it also is kind of divided between that personal struggle plus the exterior struggle of him with his girlfriend, Dawn Staples, played by Emily Blunt. And then you get him rising in the ranks of the UFC championship stuff, fighting in Japan. And it kind of just felt to me like the movie wasn't really paying proper attention to each individual part of the story. And it just kind of seemed a little mushed together. So like when the resolution of his personal issues kind of comes out, it's like, okay, cool. Like that, I'm rooting for this character because he is, by and large, a very gentle person, and he is someone who we kind of can really dig into on an emotional level, because he is someone who is defying that outward projection of himself by being this kind of emotionally, I don't even know if I would go so far as to say emotionally available, but he is someone who is tender in his emotions through most of the movie. It's something that is like he's working out like problems. He's working out problems instead of going off the cuff or instead of letting tempers flare or anything. He's like trying to get an amicable resolution in any kind of conflict he finds himself in. And that throughout the movie, I found very compelling because of, well, the writing and The Rock's performance in it as well, which we'll talk about that. But because the movie is dealing with those like three elements of his story, it just felt like there wasn't enough time spent to like properly, for instance, build up the stakes of him going after the UFC championship or whatever the championship was. Like it's told to us throughout like voiceover dialogue that like, oh yeah, this is worth this much. He needs to do this in order to get this much. It's life-changing money. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're telling us that, but like make it a little bit more cleaner in terms of the way that we're heading toward that point in the narrative. So I don't know. I felt like that was a little bit of a fault for me. How did you feel about the pacing and all of the word salad I just spewed all over the podcast?
No, I thought you brought up great points. You talked about the stakes not being as clear as they could be. I found myself wondering, and I don't think this is really a weakness of the movie, but maybe a strength that it had me wondering this, but I just thought, why does he do this exactly? Like, it doesn't really match his personality. He talks about fighting with great eloquence, but the way he fights is very rough and sloppy. Like, these guys are basically just punching each other and like kicking each other.
Yes.
I'm sure fighting fans will get mad at me for saying this, but like, it just kind of seems like a glorified street fight. Like they're just kind of beating the shit out of each other. And it just doesn't really match his restrained nature and like the way he carefully chooses his words. And he mentions feeling an addiction to the response from the crowd and like the sensation of victory, but like you can get that from other endeavors,
podcasting, for instance.
Right. Well, like why did it have to be fighting?
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting too is that it's kind of in his nature to like let rage out. Like for the most part, the way he deals with his friends and his girlfriend, like I said, he chooses his words carefully. Like he tries to maintain an even keel, but like every once in a while he'll break a door.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's what's interesting to me about it as a character study. It's like this guy, it's like a portrait of a guy who is constantly trying to restrain himself. And that was kind of, I don't know, that was the biggest strength of the movie for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there that is absolutely one of the biggest strengths of the movie for me as well. That restraint that he has throughout it, like I think my biggest issue with that is that like by and large, I think this is a really good emotional character study of Mark Kerr. Like I think it does a really good job of getting us into his perspective, giving us a taste of like what his kind of viewpoint is in all of these situations he finds himself in. Like we're along for the ride. We know how he is internalizing things. We know how he is reacting to things, and it's done very naturally and very tenderly, as I said before. The problem is, as a character study, I feel like there's like something missing with that. I feel like there's, like you said, it should be more about what drives him, like what drives him to actually do that. Because I don't think we really get a satisfactory answer as to what his main draw is. Like what makes him do this? What makes him do this particular thing? And I don't need that in a sports movie like this by any stretch. But when the actual character, when the actual like out of the rink it's a rink, right? Out of the their
Ring.
little ring. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Out of the ring persona is so starkly different from like what you would expect. I kind of wish that we would have had more of like a study of what drives him to do that. Like there's voiceover, there's stuff at the beginning that he kind of talks about and throughout the movie as well, he talks about like the allure of it, the high he gets from it. And I feel like there's maybe something missing. Like if the point was to show that since he is such a kind of people pleaser, since he's such a empathetic person who is like in his everyday life is constantly like trying to keep the peace or trying to avoid any conflict or trying to stamp down some tempers flaring around him and everything, then like make it about that, then make that be more clear. I feel like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, or wasn't clearly defined for me satisfactorily enough. Yeah,
and I wanted to say I agree with you that it tries to juggle too many things. Like, is this a movie about addiction? Is this a movie about a guy competing with a friend? Is this a movie about a guy competing with his significant other? Like, and that's interesting too. Like, they're constantly arguing, and you get the sense that there's this like unspoken agreement for their life to revolve around his efforts.
Yeah.
It's all about his fighting career, and she has to support that. And at one point he says, just treat me like a man. And like, I mean, that's kind of messed up. Like, he doesn't really seem to care about her life, and her life is just sort of an inconvenience for him. Really, it takes focus off of him and his career. And but yeah, I don't know if any of those three subplots really get enough attention.
Yeah, and the movie does kind of try to dovetail all those things together, and like it's a relatively effective like climax to the movie, but it also felt like for me, and we'll talk more about that in spoilers, but it felt like to me that it just didn't land with the emotional gut punch that, frankly, Dwayne Johnson's performance would have gotten us to. Like, I went into this movie, so here's a little window into my brain. I wasn't terribly excited for this. Frankly, when I saw the images of Dwayne Johnson in the makeup and everything, and like the look, and I feel like this is an opinion that a lot of people had. It just felt like, oh, okay, let's do this transformative physical thing and then hope that the acting can get to that level. Like it felt like kind of a, I don't know, kind of like a cheap thing of like, okay, well we're making this prestige A24 movie, but it's got The Rock. Let's really get into the makeup effects, and then maybe that'll be the conversations instead of potentially mediocre performance. Those were my expectations. I will say, I actually really liked Dwayne Johnson in this movie. I thought his performance was really measured in such a good way that, like, any time I've seen him in anything, it's always like, oh, he's The Rock. Like, I've never seen him do anything that's not his brand. Even Moana, like, there's some, I guess, physicality in the vocal range in those movies that he has to use, but still, it's like, that's The Rock's voice. That's The Rock. Here, I was really kind of just sucked in by his ability to just really showcase that emotional center of the character and that kind of measured tenderness. Third time I'm saying this. Well, actually fourth or fifth, since I talked about the tenderness to her. Anyway, check that out at Heartland, by the way. But yeah, just like that tenderness of the character, navigating different situations. Like, for instance, there's a scene where he's, non-spoilers, but he is upset about the resolution of a fight. And the stakes are huge, but like what he leaves the ring and goes to find the person backstage to calmly like explain, like, no, this is wrong. This is that. It's like any other person really in that kind of line of work would like cause a scene, like be outraged and everything. It would be a big moment, but it's like measured. And I really like that about him. So I liked The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, in this movie. How'd you feel about his performance?
I'm glad you mentioned that scene. That is interesting because you're right. In like a typical prestige fighting movie, you would see the big blow up and like the big dramatic meltdown. But yeah I mean, he almost has like a customer service-esque sort of interaction with these guys. And it's not the only customer service type interaction he has. Like you see him act that way with doctors, and it's kind of the way he sneakily gets pain medication. And so I think that's an interesting part of the movie. I agree that the prosthetic makeup use is kind of silly. Like, do we really need him to have weird eyebrows that look different than his own? Like, is Mark, I mean, like we said at the beginning, we didn't even know who Mark Kerr was. Right. Like, who are they trying to impress with this transformation? Like, I'm not sure he's like a mainstream figure that everyone knows. And it's not like there were expectations for this to be a super accurate biopic. Right. So I think the makeup was a little weird. But I do think The Rock's performance, I gotta stop calling him The Rock, but I do think he transcends that. The makeup's not necessary because he's emotionally magnetic and you can't take your eyes off of him. You know, I mean, I guess he has some typical like Oscar bait moments, but they did always feel measured to me. Like there's a scene in a hospital where he's kind of putting on that facade of seeming like nothing's wrong and you know, telling this story of drug abuse and trying to act like he's just doing great, and then he has a meltdown and I don't know. I think it's a character that you're constantly waiting to see their mask fall off, you know, and I think Dwayne Johnson did a great job.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that scene in particular, because that scene, coupled with the scene where he is kind of trying to not even necessarily trying to charm his way into getting pain medicine, but like he's doing that customer service thing. Those two scenes are so interesting to me, and it's why I wish that the movie focused more on the struggles with addiction side of the story, because he is so throughout the whole movie, he is so conscious of other people's maybe not even perception of him, but other people's perception of the situation. And I feel like part of that is maybe also because he's a hulking mass of a human being. So there's this kind of what's the word? Oh crap. Not defense mechanism, but breaking down defenses, where he's like, oh, he's soft spoken. He's talking very gently and kindly to someone so that, the hulking beast in front of them isn't going to be like, it's not barking at him or anything. So there's that kind of underlying side to the way that he carries himself in those scenes. But I love that, like in the scene where he's trying to get the pain medicine, he's very controlled. He's very centered on the fact that like he's explaining the reasoning behind it so clearly and effortlessly that you don't really think of him as like, oh, he's abusing substances, like he's addicted to this. Like, it's such an interesting like window into someone who is, abusing a substance and is kind of dependent on it or growing dependent on it. And then you get the scene in the hospital where we have like fallout from his experiences and everything. And as he's talking through it, like you said, putting on this facade of like, oh, everything's okay. And that's when that like shield goes down. That's when the shield like breaks. And that, like, I wanted that to be the whole movie. Like, I didn't need, I mean, I guess you would need the relationship with Emily Blunt in it for that, but I wish it was just that. Like, and not like this, this journey through mixed martial arts and championship fights that could lead to a showdown with him and his friend. Like, I don't need that. Like I don't need the Rocky story there. I would want the more intense character stuff. That's what spoke to me more. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll admit that until the big like championship in the third act of the movie, this was like a 4-star movie for me. And I was really loving it. And then we get to that championship in Japan, and there's like 6 fight sequences.
Yeah.
And it starts feeling really long. And it's like, I get that maybe the movie's trying to emphasize how much Mark Kerr and Mark Coleman had to kind of wait to see what their fate would be in this competition. But like, do we need to see them fight like 4 guys each? Yeah. Like, that's where it definitely dropped down in quality for me. And it's frustrating because there's such richer material this could have explored other than like this boatload of fight sequences. I just, yeah, that was a big disappointment for me.
Absolutely. Like, it becomes a conventional sports movie in those moments, and everything else is just like, it can be considered kind of conventional sports movie stuff with the struggles that he has and everything. But when it gets to those moments, it's like, I'm remembering like, okay, we need to, like, I know it's a true story and everything, but we need to set the expectations that like, oh, they're going up the ladder and stuff. But because we have those other plot lines that are going throughout the course of the movie, that doesn't become the central thing until like the last act of the movie. And it's like the movie has to play catch up in the script, saying like, oh, by the way, this has all led to this. So it's possible that Kerr and Coleman could have to fight each other. And it's all just very much just told to us. It's one of those things where, granted, I still haven't seen the documentary, but and I want to give much more credit to Benny Safdie than I'm about to, but it feels like he's just using the documentary storytelling device as a crutch to write this script. Like, I feel like if he had to follow it closely, or if he followed it as closely as people are saying he did, like, that's fine, but make it make it more cinematic then, like, because otherwise you're just telling us that, like, I don't know, like, jazz it up a little bit. It's just, it should have been a little bit more persistent throughout it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I heard an interview with him recently where he addressed the nature of kind of recreating the documentary or scenes from the documentary. And he compared it to therapy sessions where you kind of reenact events from your life and gain something new from kind of re-experiencing them. I think that's interesting. It kind of speaks to the nature of biopics too. It's like when we take real life and kind of dramatize it, like, how does that make us view the real life inspiration differently? And I mean, I think that's interesting, like, theoretically. I can't totally speak to it because I haven't seen the documentary, but it also feels like a bit of a cop-out. It's like, well, I'll take these scenes from the documentary and just kind of recreate them and hope that something is gained from that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like, maybe that's an unfair judgment, but if he was recreating the build-up to that fight between, or possible fight between Kerr and Coleman, I just didn't think there was a lot there. I didn't really think there was much tension between them. Like, they both just kind of seemed fine with it. And like, that's not terribly cinematic.
Right.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Like, there's some comic elements to it in a couple of points in that, but other than that, it just felt very and like very much like an afterthought. And I feel like because of that, the kind of climactic moment of it didn't really land with the weight that it should have, because of that. But we'll talk in more detail on spoilers here in a bit. But I did want to mention before we go to spoilers, I wanted to touch on just the overall look of the movie. It's set in the late 90s. It is filmed in a way that looks like it is a grainy, like grainy, not even film, but like digital artifact film from like 30 years ago or 25 plus years ago. And I found that to be really interesting for two reasons. One, it felt very, that combined with like the handheld shots, the kind of candid positioning of the camera felt very candid and very private. And that speaks very much to Benny Safdie's point about it being a therapy session sort of aesthetic. So that was really great at delivering this emotional like insight into the character and the plot and everything. I thought that was really well done. The other thing I want to mention about the overall look of it is that I don't know if it's me being in denial about how everything looked back then, but like, I mean, I'm 39 years old. I was alive back then. I knew I was conscious back then. Like, it felt like the movie was almost like not set in the late 90s. It felt like it was like an 80s, like late 80s sort of look in terms of the design, like the interior decorations and the fashion and the and the vehicles and everything, and not even like in the Japan scenes, but like in the, you know, in Phoenix when they're in Phoenix and everything. It just felt very much like more like late 80s rather than late 90s, which is not a criticism or anything. I just thought that was interesting and that I'm old as fuck.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's one sequence near the very beginning where it's like video footage of Mark Kerr, and it does feel just incredibly old. Like, like it's kind of blurry and like staticky and the sound sucks and you do wonder like, well, this was 97.
Yeah.
Like surely like technology wasn't that bad, was it? But I mean, I don't know, maybe it was kind of exaggerated to make it, you know, seem longer ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting visually. I mean, I don't think this, in terms of like judging this as Benny Safdie's directorial debut apart from his brother, like I don't know if I was really all that surprised. I mean, I think Good Time and Uncut Gems are just more interesting aesthetically and tonally. But I will mention there is one scene near the end. I won't spoil anything, but it's kind of like a big melodramatic, emotional scene. And like there's kind of sappy music in the background, and like the clothes that Mark Kerr is wearing, like his outfit is kind of ridiculous and like really flashy, and like it kind of felt like an old school sort of 80s romantic drama. I don't know if that was, you know, stylistically intentional, but I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with any of that. I guess that's just my response to your thoughts on the style.
Yeah, I would say like overall it was aesthetically pleasing. Like it looked good. It was just kind of weird in terms of the almost ambiguity of the setting. Even though we know it's in the late 90s, it just felt like older. And the jokey thing that I'll say is that while I was in the theater, I just kept muttering like, I thought I watched VHS Halloween last week. But check out my review of VHS Halloween last week on the podcast. But anyway, yeah, I do think it's an interesting swing in terms of just depicting it that way, showing it that way. It looks very graded and aged in a very aesthetically pleasing way. Like the cinematography is really good. The final thing before we go to spoilers, I want to circle back and talk about the fighting, the actual sequences, that the choreography of that, the way that it's shot, I thought was like, despite that plot line being less interesting to me than the personal stuff, anytime we see him in the ring or anyone in the ring doing that style of fighting, I was struggling to figure out, like, how do people do that? Like, how is that possible? Like, and why is this a spectator sport? Like, I understand and respect the skill involved, but like, there were times in this movie where I remembered when I was a kid, like a few years before this movie's set, where I was really into Power Rangers and I was begging my mom and dad to get me karate lessons. And I went to one karate lesson and was like, this isn't for me. And just like, I was thinking like, that is such an interesting discipline. Like, not necessarily just karate, but just like martial arts. Like, it's just so weird to think like you're training to, when you're doing like sport stuff like this, you're training to inflict pain on another person. It's like, it's weird. But that's my little kind of rabbit hole tangent there. But I thought it was visually, just the choreography and the way that those sequences were shot were just brutal, and really cool to see.
Yeah, I do think they emphasize the like bizarre nature of the sport. Like, these guys start gushing blood from their faces almost immediately.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I mean, these are basically glorified street fights. Like, you know, you can talk about the skill and sort of like choreography involved, but they're just kind of punching the shit out of each other. It's weird. It's odd.
It is very weird. And that's another thing that I kind of wish was a little bit more explored in it. But to kind of assuage the listener from sending hate mail, like, I understand, like, it's mixed martial arts, like, it's in the title, like, they're different martial arts styles and everything. And I do wish that was explored more, like the different styles and everything, but I don't know. That's not what this movie was, but yeah, it does have that. Like, there are scenes where he's training. There are a few scenes where he's training. Like, one in particular that I remember is him, like, doing one move over and over again in a straight line. And it's like a pretty brief clip, but like, I was just like, that made me think like, oh my God, like, they need to be training, like, they need to be thinking on their feet. And they need to make these decisions very quickly, and they need to figure out like how to respond to things and how to like fight basically, and use the right tactic and everything. And it's really impressive, the amount of work that goes into it, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Would you like to go into spoilers for the Smashing Machine? I feel like we don't really need to talk that much about spoilers, but we should probably talk about the more specifics of the plot and everything. Are you ready for spoilers for the Smashing Machine?
Yeah, there's a few scenes I'd like to talk about.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers. Before we do that, though, Sam, would you mind telling us what you rated this on Letterboxd?
I went with 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
I feel good about that. I feel like it represents my feelings pretty well.
Same here. I rated it 3.5 stars. It was very much like you said, it was teetering between 3.5 and 4 stars throughout the movie, basically. But yeah, I landed on 3.5. So we'll talk in more detail as to why here in the spoiler section in a second. But I do want to say, if you want to navigate around spoilers, check the show notes for timestamps. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling the Smashing Machine.
Probably looking at my eyes.
How did that happen?
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
That's the bloody thing they're trying to ban.
This guy is the best he has ever seen.
Do you hate each other when you fight?
Absolutely not.
How do you know Mark Kerr?
Oh, we go way back, but he's a buddy of mine.
All right, so spoilers on for the Smashing Machine. Sam, where would you like to begin with the spoiler talk on the Smashing Machine?
If you don't mind, because it's the freshest thing in my mind right now, I'd like to talk about a scene with Mark Kerr's trainer, where they're training, and then the trainer, I think his name is Boss Rutan, gets hurt, and Mark gives him some pain medication. And it's after he's gotten clean and gone through rehab. He gives him an injection of some opiate. And it's a really strange but interesting scene because, you know, the guy's in excruciating pain, and this injection relieves him within just a few seconds. And it's presented as kind of a heroic act on Kerr's part, and the trainer says something like, "This makes me feel like a plant," like he's describing the sort of euphoria he feels, and Mark laughs about it. It's really weird, though. It's like it's like watching a recovering alcoholic watching someone else drink, seeing them enjoy it, and then like vicariously enjoying their enjoyment. I thought that was bizarre, and I don't totally know what to make of it.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I agree completely. That is a weird scene. Like it's funny. The comparison that I make is to Walk Hard. Like the whole movie is like, you don't want none of this shit. And then when he gets to like weed, he's like, oh yeah, there's no hangover or anything. Like there's no way to get overdose on it or anything. It's actually really good. Like it just felt like that scene, and like it felt weirdly out of place, because again, those three like concurrent plot lines with his relationship, his pain, his opioid addiction, and his potential rivalry with Coleman, they aren't satisfactorily built out. And because of that, this weird anomaly of a scene in this movie really stands out, because it feels like a very dramatic moment, obviously, given the state of what's going on in the scene, but it feels like a very dramatic emotional moment, because it's him turning to like the dragon he's chased, and it's him turning to that, as well as him essentially potentially enabling someone else to be addicted to it and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of just discarded after that. It's like, it's played off as like a, like, oh yeah, plant. It's like, it's weird. It's weird. It's kind of like if you go back in time to when like we were kids and we would have like DARE officers come in, it would be like that, like the DARE officer being like, yeah, drugs are terrible and stuff, but oh my God, the high you get from it, man, it's so fucking good. Like it's really weird, and I don't know, it didn't sit well with me either.
Yeah, like I guess the only clear thing I thought it was trying to get you to walk away with was the sense that, okay, Mark has, gained control over this.
Yeah.
He throws the vials of medicine away.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly these guys shouldn't be using this stuff at all.
Right.
So, like, what is it really suggesting? Like, what is the alternative to this medicine when they are in excruciating pain?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's like the movie just kind of drops this bomb on you and like doesn't do anything with it.
Yeah. It feels like, it feels a little bit like, maybe it's because of the time, like, cause it's like, at that point it's like 98, 99. I wasn't too plugged in with like the opioid crisis or anything at the time. But maybe it's supposed to be like, true to the era that it's representing in the movie. But even if that's the case, like hindsight is a thing. Like it doesn't need to be depicted that way. It was weird. It was definitely weird. And I am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to make some broad statements that are just my own conjecture, my own, not even opinion, but just like my own, like based on nothing. But we said at the beginning of this review that neither of us knew anything about Mark Kerr. So literally the entire movie, I'm wondering, is this going to turn into like a tragedy of him not overcoming his abuse problems and succumbing to it in some way? Is it going to turn into like a horrifying like murder-suicide thing? Is it going to turn into something where he dies in the ring? Or like I was so convinced like it was leading toward him dying in some way. But part of me thinks, and this is a very cynical thing based on nothing, is that I wonder if the fact that the real Mark Kerr presumably having a lot to do with this movie. He appears in the movie at the end. I wonder if him being involved in such a way, in whatever capacity, affected how the story is told. In that, like, maybe they didn't want to go into like more detail about his addiction to pain medicine. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't want to really go into like the implications of that scene. Maybe they just wanted to show him as like, this is the moment that he like really overcame it and everything. But it's also like, it should be more of a dramatic thing for him in terms of like the morality of it. But I'm wondering if the real Mark Kerr being close enough to the production to be in the movie affected the way that the dramatic depiction of Mark Kerr was dramatized. Yeah. But again, that's a cynical viewpoint.
No, I mean, I think that's a great point, because the way he overcomes his addiction does seem pretty neat and tidy. Like, he goes to a 21-day rehab treatment center, and after that, you know, has a sponsor who he calls when he's struggling. And like, you know, we never see him relapse. Yeah. He has that weird moment with his trainer in which he's able to control himself around these substances. And yeah, it's just kind of like wrapped up very cleanly. And there is a suggestion that his girlfriend could become a conflict for him and maybe an enabler, but we never see that go terribly far. Well, I mean, she has quite a breakdown near the end, in which she threatens, or seems like she's about to commit suicide a couple of times. Within a pretty short time span. But then that's kind of dropped.
Yeah.
Too.
That was that was the other thing I was wondering, was that, like, and again, this is a very cynical thing that's just based on my perception from what I saw in the movie and everything. But like, there's the end, like, title card shows that, like, oh, you know, after she got out of like the hospital and she was released and everything, they got married 10 days later, and they were married for 6 years and they have a son. And like, I was fixated on they were married for 6 years, because again, very cynical of me, very much not informed on anything about, you know, the real life people, but just from what I saw in this movie, I kind of thought, I wonder if the real Dawn Staples had any input. I wonder what terms she's on with the real Mark Kerr, because the movie kind of shifts quite a bit into her not being, like, her being unstable and a thorn in the side of Mark Kerr. Like, the whole big blow up is because he doesn't want her to go to Japan. In the way the movie presents it, it's kind of rightfully so, because she like caused, their argument caused, like a failure in the ring or whatever, like that, like it affected him. So it makes sense. Like, the logic follows that, you know, he wouldn't want her to be there, but like the confrontation between them about it is, again, like it's strongly enough written, because it's keying into Mark Kerr being someone who is trying to be amicable in these high intense situations. But it kind of just felt like that, coupled with her complaining to her friend that we see for one scene, that the birthday girl, her complaining like, oh, he's not fun anymore. And her friend's like, well, when people get sober, they're not fun anymore. It's like, it seems like the movie was like trying to push her into like a villain role to bring us into that last thing. So I was like thinking, man, when it showed that they were only married for 6 years, it's like, I get it. And I wonder if that's why this movie is kind of skewing negative to her, whereas elsewhere we've got Mark Kerr, who is on screen in the movie at the end. We have his depiction in the movie being like, oh, I went to a 21 day rehab clinic. I'm clean. I was able to use this substance that I was addicted to in order to help a friend and then throw it away because I'm over it. Like, it seemed very not easy, but it seemed a little bit, a little bit careful in the depiction of Mark Kerr in relation to Don Staples as well.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that melodramatic scene near the end that I mentioned is that you get like tiny hints that maybe he's not as stable as he says he is. Like he seems to be drinking a beer.
I was going to mention that too. That was kind of interesting because it seems like, once he gets clean, like that would be something that he would stay away from as well. But I don't know.
Yeah, and I think she even says something, like she makes a little jab about it. I don't remember exactly what she says, but something about his program not being as strict as he says it is. And
yeah.
And you see in the background, there's a table with like liquor bottles and wine bottles, and they are having a party, but it does make you wonder, like, are they heavy drinkers still? And there's a few things that are underdeveloped. Like, at one point she mentions to his friend and, trainer Mark Coleman that like they went out drinking, but like maybe we should see that. Like maybe we should see what Mark is like in those situations. Like, why don't we see that? And there's another weird scene where like he seems to be high and like he looks really creepy. Like he has this like dead-eyed stare and he seems like he's mad at her for no obvious reason. And, it's like very tense and uncomfortable and like menacing. But that's not explored very thoroughly. I don't know. Yeah, all of that felt kind of half-baked to me.
Absolutely. And also the call that she makes to Coleman when she's like, I couldn't wake him up. I couldn't wake him up or anything. And like, that was a little bit of a like whiplash for me because it's leading to like the big come to Jesus moment for him. Like this is a pivotal moment in his story. And we get a phone call after the fact that frankly, I didn't really clock like where she was, where he was, or where Coleman was. So when he's like, I'll get on the next plane, I was like, oh, they're not in the same city. Okay. So is he dying? Like, because again, I didn't know anything about Mark Kerr. So the whole movie, I'm thinking like, he's going to drop dead. He's going to die right now. And like, I didn't know what the deal was. And it just felt like the movie was avoiding, and maybe this is purposeful, but avoiding trying to do anything that would be construed as like melodramatic things, maybe just saving it for that big fight at the end so that it can really build up all of that. But the trade-off of that is we don't actually see the big pivotal moments of his journey, and we're just told about it. And like, I mean, come on, Benny, that's screenwriting 101. Show, don't tell. Like I don't understand the logic behind it. So
yeah, that's a great point. It feels very safe Like, I imagine maybe the documentary shows the aftermath of his overdose.
Yeah.
And we get the phone call and everything. Why not try to dramatize his overdose?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get why Benny Safdie would feel uncomfortable about showing a moment that he doesn't totally have inside knowledge of, but like, why not go for it? Like, I don't, it would have made his abuse a little stronger. You know, it would have added a little more weight to that breakdown in the hospital. Because we don't really, I mean, it's hard to get a sense that someone's life is on the line when you only hear about it through a phone call.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Why didn't it try to kind of make those moments a little more cinematic?
I agree. Yep. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the competition thing. Like we said in non-spoilers, it does feel very kind of afterthoughty. It feels like kind of like, okay, well, we need to have like we need to have like a tournament thing, which is true to life and everything, fine. But the way that it's done just felt like it was undercooked. But I feel like there's a failing in this movie where the movie tries to dovetail all of the things together. He has these, it's like after, I think it's either after the fact or no, it's when he's like being like beaten. He's seeing these flashes from the movie of all of the things that have happened, like his substance abuse, Dawn, Coleman. And I feel like the movie is trying to communicate that like this is the moment where he realizes that winning isn't everything. He doesn't need to do this to be a man. He can overcome his personal things without sacrificing his life or his social life or whatever, personal life, to attain this belt. And it's like, yeah, those are interesting things, but it feels like the movie doesn't build to that in a meaningful way. So like when we see that, it's like, for me, it was like, oh, that's where the movie was leading me into. Okay, sure, fine, okay. And it just felt like very underserved. How'd you feel about it?
Totally agree. There's a moment that seems like it's supposed to be a cathartic culmination of all of that, where he takes a shower after losing the fight and he ends up laughing. And it's like, what are we supposed to feel exactly here? Like that didn't seem clear to me. And like, it's always a bad sign when the movie has to remind you of the things that happened. Like flashbacks are kind of weak to me, especially like a big sequence of them. Like, remember all of these things that happened.
Right.
I just, it's like, yeah, we just saw her put a gun to her head like 10 minutes ago. Like, do we really need a reminder of that? I don't know. Yeah, that felt kind of like weak and thrown together to me.
Yeah. It's really funny because, again, I did not know anything about Mark Kerr going into this movie. So when, in a weird way, when he gets in the shower and he's turning them on and stuff, I'm like, oh, is he going to kill himself? Like, I didn't know like where it was going there. And like the laughing and smiling, like it's a cathartic moment for him, and well, fine. Yeah. But it didn't really resonate with me the way that it was supposed to. And that's a shame. Yeah, it's really perplexing to me because I feel like Benny Safdie, it's a weird case of like, I feel like he should know better. Like I don't know where the wheels were coming off in the production of this and everything. Because it doesn't feel like something that would be a completely thought out thing.
Yeah, well, it's weird to view this in comparison to like Uncut Gems, which has such a more complex central character and an ending that's so much bolder. Like, I mean, I get that, you know, obviously this based on a true story, but like, this didn't leave me with that feeling that there was like much to it in the end. I don't like going back to the shower moment. Like, I didn't feel like a big lesson was being learned on Mark's part. Like, it felt kind of random and not really like an earned catharsis.
The what I will say for that is it felt like maybe the intention was to show that, like, he knows now that, like, losing isn't everything. Like, he's not running around trying to, like, explain, like, no, it wasn't real. This isn't right. Like, this is against the rules and everything, and do it a no contest thing. Instead, it's like, okay, I'm just accepting what it was. Like, I couldn't move. And it's like, fine. But I don't know. It just felt undercooked. Yeah.
Well, and now his friend gets to win.
Yeah.
And you almost get the sense that, like, it's a surefire thing, and like he's giving his friend the victory.
Yeah. The announcer even said that. Like Mark Kerr did Coleman a favor by basically losing and stuff. It's like, okay, well, that's like this weird, like, backhanded thing. It's like, well, okay, does that mean that Mark Coleman isn't like truly like the champion because Mark Kerr may have like taken a dive? Like, it's weird. It's a weird statement to make.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, to hell with the other fighter, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he just has no chance now.
Right.
That was weird to me, and like, I don't think it's developed well enough. I was going to say maybe that's a commentary on like all of these people kind of playing second fiddle to Mark, like his friend, his girlfriend, they're all kind of destined to be in his shadow. But like, I don't even know if that theme of the movie is developed well enough for that to be the point it's making.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything else we can talk about in spoilers for The Smashing Machine?
I guess I want to emphasize that I did like this movie.
I did too.
I liked it a lot, actually. I just, like, these criticisms aren't, you know, I still enjoyed watching it.
They're constructive criticisms.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's nothing that like killed the movie for me by any stretch. And the movie that it reminded me of a little bit, and this is a cheap comparison, but it reminded me of a couple of years ago, The Iron Claw with Zac Efron. And like, I liked this a lot more than The Iron Claw. Like, and they both have very similar sort of issues in that they're both telling these stories about real people, and it seems like it's glossing over or skipping over entirely like segments of the story, perhaps because the subject is involved with the production in some capacity. But like, I felt like this was a better made movie despite those flaws, and a more complete movie than The Iron Claw was for me. So that's a feather in the cap of The Smashing Machine for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. I liked it. Obviously it has some flaws. I still found it compelling to watch. I look forward to Dwayne Johnson going into more dramatic roles.
It would be interesting to see where he goes from here. If he continues down this path when he doesn't win an Oscar, is he going to continue pursuing it? What other crazy prosthetics is he going to subject himself to? We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that will just about do it for our review of the Smashing Machine. We both rated it 3.5 stars. Is that going to change at all from our conversation, or is it still going to be that for you?
I'm pretty secure in my rating.
Me too. I think it'll stay at 3.5 for me as well. So that'll do it for our feature review. Check the show notes for timestamps, all of that. Sam, you still good for our secondary review?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So that is our review of the Smashing Machine. We're going to go ahead and do a secondary review for The Strangers Chapter 2. But before that, I just want to say, first of all, follow Sam on Letterboxd at Sam Movie Man, and follow his work at MidwestFilmJournal.com. And here we go. Before we get to our secondary review, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast YouTube channel as well, where I'm posting more and more snippets and videos and short form content over there and on TikTok, making that push again. So make sure you subscribe on all the places. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESS. When you sign up for a new account, you'll get up to 2 months free, depending on when you sign up during the month, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that are in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
Tell me I view obsessively.
All right, and for tonight's secondary review, we're going to be talking about The Strangers Chapter 2. Before we get into that, Sam, do you want to do a spoiler review for that, or non-spoiler, or do you think we could do a non-spoiler review? How do you feel about the direction we can take this review?
I think we could probably get away with non-spoilers.
I agree. Yeah, let's do that. So, I am going to give a rundown of it, of the people involved in the premise and everything, as I usually do. Then I'll play a clip from the trailer, and then we'll talk about it. So The Strangers Chapter 2 is currently in theaters. It was released in theaters on September 26th. The premise, according to IMDb, is left stranded in a small town with no way out. Maya must once again face a night of terror, courtesy of 3 deadly killers whose rampage she must put to an end. Director for this movie was Renny Harlin, and writers were Alan R. Cohen and Alan Friedland. And the cast includes Madeline Pesch, Richard Brake, Pedro Leandro, Gabriel Basso, Milo Callahan, and Florian Claire. And here's a clip from the trailer, and we're gonna review The Strangers Chapter 2.
So you're the one everybody's talking about. The one that survived. You were stabbed, right? What did it feel like?
I felt like they liked it. It was some kind of ritual.
But it's been going on for years.
Who are they? Why are they doing this?
Does there have to be a why?
All right, so let's talk The Strangers Chapter 2. Of course, Sam, you were on last year for The Strangers Chapter 1 in our secondary review for Obsessive Viewer, episode 429. Really quick, what did you think of Strangers Chapter 1 and overall thoughts on Chapter 2?
I thought Chapter 1 was a little lame. I mean, I think the idea of revealing who the strangers are is kind of inherently misguided, because the mystery about them is what makes them so scary, and the randomness of their crimes.
Yeah, it's called The Strangers, not The Acquaintances.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if we meet them, are they strangers anymore?
Right?
But so I thought the idea of a trilogy was really odd, and I was naturally intrigued, though, especially with Renny Harlin's involvement.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like a big comeback for him, though. They're just sort of like solid, serviceable slasher movies. I thought the first one was just kind of like a rehash of the original in the sense that it revolves around a couple who's being terrorized. I didn't think the couple was quite as interesting. The couple in the original have kind of a rocky relationship. The boyfriend, you learn that he proposed and was rejected, and that kind of immediately robs the movie of any like comforting warmth between them. And in the new one, the couple is seemingly happy, just not quite as interesting. And like, it's kind of a typical like cabin in the woods, couple being terrorized movie. And it felt kind of slow and just, I wasn't thrilled about it. This new one, though, I did appreciate for the fact that it just kind of gets right down to exactly what you'd want out of a slasher movie. Like right away, like it gets to the heroine running from the strangers, hiding, people being killed around her. Like it moves quickly. And in my review, I compared it to like a movie that you'd kind of casually watch on Halloween while waiting for trick-or-treaters. Like you can kind of pick it up at any point and pretty much know what's going on. Very simple, straightforward chase thriller kind of thing. And like right away, I don't think it's a spoiler to reveal that it starts in a hospital.
Right.
You can see that from the trailer. And much of the first act takes place there. And like, there's a lot of cool, like hiding scenes, a lot of cool use of that space, a great sense of atmosphere with like the rain pouring outside and the hospital being abandoned and I just like, I was into it right away.
Yeah, I thought that first act was really, like the hospital sequences were really the high point for me. And yeah, like that location and the general atmosphere, the tone of that space, as you said, like the way that it's utilized, that's doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like creating that tension and making me reinvest in this character. But it was thrilling. And granted, yeah, the kind of obvious comparison is to the Halloween 2, and this is inherently derivative of that because of the setting and everything. There's no way to kind of avoid that, but I found myself not really comparing it to Halloween 2. I was just kind of like, I was in it. I was really interested in it because they did such a great job of kind of making that desolate area as desolate as possible and really brought me into it. And that was good. That was very solid. But from there, I feel like the movie just didn't work outside of that hardly at all. It really, I respect and appreciate that it's all like happening rapid fire, like in the hours after the first movie. Like this entire movie runs a few hours of time in the plot, in that same night. That's really good. It's hard to pull off. But there's not like, we're not spoiling it or anything, but there are like bits and pieces about the town and the history of the strangers. And there are little breadcrumbs. I put in my letterbox blurb, this is the second installment of a trilogy, and the breadcrumbs of lore left in this movie are supposed to pay off in chapter 3, but the lack of flavor in those breadcrumbs is potentially setting things up for a really lackluster conclusion. And like,
nice.
Thank you. I was proud of that. But like, we get like these little bits and pieces about the sheriff and how like, oh, this is like, there's mystery afoot. There's a history here. And like, I will compare it to a movie that it shouldn't be compared to, even though it's slightly similar, but like Weapons. So one of the things that you and I both loved about Weapons is that the movie wasn't too concerned about, like the actual plot of Weapons wasn't contingent on like a town secret or anything like that. Here, like, I found that to be really refreshing in Weapons. Here, with The Strangers, it's trying really hard to invest us into whatever this, like, community is up to, like, whatever secret history and skeletons are in the closet. And the problem is, I don't really remember the sheriff from the first movie. It feels like they're just setting this up for, like, okay, well, we need something to hook us into the third chapter. And that's where like all the stuff is going to come out and everything. It's like, at this point, I'm 2 movies deep into this and I don't really care. Like, and it's add to the fact that, like we said, it's the premise of the conceit of the movie is the strangers. Like that original movie ends with them, like the strangers in their truck saying like, it'll be easier next time. And it's so chilling because like that's to say like, oh, there's going to be more of these random acts of violence. The title card at the beginning of these movies says like however many people are killed by complete strangers every year or whatever. And it's like, then we spend the time learning about the characters and learning about the town. Like it seems like very incongruous to what the spirit of the movie should be, judging from that opening thing. So I don't know. It's a little frustrating.
I'm glad you mentioned that title card because that does feel like it belongs in a totally different movie.
Yes.
Like this one especially is a very pulpy slasher movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not the stripped down, single setting location thriller that the original one is. And it's trying to ground the movie in this kind of tragic reality with that title card that it just doesn't really earn. It's like, imagine seeing that title card and then the movie that follows is like along the lines of like Scream.
Yeah.
Like that, that doesn't make sense. Like it just, it really clashes.
Yep.
And it's not even really like this one isn't even a like Home Invasion is a more common issue that like could conceivably happen in real life.
Yeah.
Like what's happening here is pretty outlandish. Like there's even some CGI use that I won't spoil, but that goes into pretty outlandish territory. And it's like,
yeah, that like middle section is what you're referring to. Like that was a completely different movie. Like that was like, and again, not going to spoil it, but here's the way that like my reaction to that sequence is that it felt like it kind of felt like the shooting schedule for this movie was contingent on those days that sequence was shot was supposed to be like a stranger's day. And it felt like that was the only time that they could shoot a particular sequence with the strangers, but all of the actors who played the strangers just happened to get sick that day. So they needed to do something else to fill that time, because what the hell was that? Like, that is another movie entirely. And like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. So like that doesn't match a movie that opens with a title card based in such tragedy. Like,
right. To be fair, I don't think Maya knew that. Like, I think that the subject of that sequence was a stranger to her. I will say that.
But like, to open with like real world statistics on murder, and then to go into a sequence like that, it's like, what are we even doing at this point?
Yeah. Like, devil's advocate, and I'm going to try again this is a dicey part for in terms of spoilers and everything, but it feels like that, like my true, like non-jokey thing is that I feel like that sequence was supposed to be communicating to us that Maya is capable of taking an action, is capable of doing something in an act of self-preservation. And we see that kind of happen or that kind of pay off at the end of the movie. The problem is that it's not a one-to-one thing. Like, it's not like, it feels like it's a very, very, very weak building block for that character arc. And it feels just so haphazard and first drafty. Like, it feels very out of place, even with that kind of trajectory for the character.
Definitely. And it's funny that you say it feels first drafty, because I read that this chapter in particular was pretty heavily rewritten. And with that actress, Madeline Petch, apparently she did like a pretty heavy rewrite on it.
Oh, wow.
Herself, and like even has an executive producer credit on this one. Wow. And I also read that they had like 20 days of reshoots based on feedback to the first one, audience feedback. And you can definitely feel that in the finished product. Like, it kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah. This is, I fear, going to get into spoilers a little bit, but I feel like the pitch for that was like, oh, I just saw this really cool Inarritu movie last night. Let's do that.
Right.
And it just felt like, yeah, really, really, it took me out of the movie a little bit. Yeah. There's also an extended sequence with a group of other strangers that are just people that she meets or whatever. I vaguely remember, I didn't do my due diligence and listen to our review from last year, but I do remember thinking that after The Strangers Chapter 1, I remember thinking like, oh, those characters that pop up for like a scene early on in the movie, it'll be interesting because those are probably going to be like the pivotal characters, or they're going to be the central characters for either the next installment or chapter 3. That's kind of cool that they're laying those seeds there. I don't remember if any of these characters were in the first movie, but the characters that she meets, like, I had that thought again. Like, I had the thought again of like, oh, wow, they're introducing these characters. They're going to be like pivotal in the next chapter or whatever. And then it just kind of just feels like it's just not, like, it's introduced that way, but it doesn't follow through on that in one way or the other. And there's one character who I was like, just like, you're trying way too hard to be a mysterious asshole and aloof, when it's like, this woman was just brutally attacked. Her boyfriend is dead. Like, cut her some slack. Like, stop being a weird, mysterious guy. Like, what are we doing? It felt very just, I don't know. It lost me at several points in this movie.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, that set of characters seems to serve as like a red herring to get you to think, okay, these are obviously the strangers.
Yeah.
And that's even suggested in the trailer. Like when they pick her up in their truck, she has flashes of seeing them in the strangers' masks. It's a little too on the nose. And I get the sense that this production, I mean, these movies were shot back to back or consecutively. So like all 3 chapters are basically shot. And you get the sense that it was kind of like made up as they went along.
Yeah.
Apparently it's meant to be watched as like as 1 4.5 hour movie.
Jesus.
And like, I don't know if there's enough there.
No.
In like thematically or like character wise, like, I mean, even the heroine herself, like there's not much to her. I mean, we root for her just because she's kind of the audience's eyes and ears.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing like particularly rich about her character.
Yeah. And nothing that's really brought, like, there's really nothing that's enhances her character from the first movie in this movie. Like, there's no growth aside from like, oh, I'm a survivor from this horrific incident from hours earlier. Like, and maybe that plays into the whole trilogy should be viewed as one movie. Maybe that's just because we don't have the payoff, but like the bit of characterization we get is that random ass middle section and how that ties into her willingness to do things for self-preservation and stuff. But like, there's a different version of this movie that I think would have been so much better. And I don't want to really say it because it could infer spoilers or imply spoilers, but like, I like that scene where she's in the car and she's seeing those flashes of the strangers' masks on them. Like, I really wish that could have been like the track for the rest of the movie, with her second guessing these people who are helping her and her thinking that like, oh my God, that like I'm here, like they're here, they're like they're gonna kill me. And like, what if that was like the big climax of the movie, is her going after them because she thinks that they're them, but if they turn out not to be, then like the movie ends with like the strangers outside, and like that would have been amazing. But like here it's just like, okay, there's something about the sheriff we'll learn in chapter 3.
Yeah, I got the sense from the marketing, even from the first one, that it was trying to suggest like no one in this town can be trusted. Like it could be anyone, or like the whole town is in on it.
Yeah.
And this reveals some things about the history of the town that kind of goes against that. And like, I don't know, it's weird. It was set up as a trilogy, but there's like no reason for it to be a trilogy. It's like the lore so far, at least, seems so thin. I just like, what was the great concept behind who the strangers were that attracted people to this? Like,
yeah. And like the bits we get of that in this movie are like, it's not a spoiler to say there are some certain flashbacks that give us some more insight into some of the characters. And like, first of all, I couldn't really necessarily keep straight who the subject of those flashbacks was in the present day. And as that was all playing out and everything, I was like, okay, those are pieces of information that I did not need in this franchise, specifically because it's the strangers. And like, it's just, it defies what made that original movie work so well for me, which is an extension of like my complaints for the first chapter of this trilogy, where like, yeah, the couple in the first chapter are like, the movie just doesn't include the big conflict that they had in the original movie, while still like kind of telling a similar story about them, but it takes away like that dramatic moment or that dramatic arc for their relationship. And so what we get is just two gorgeous people being stalked by strangers in a cabin. And it's like, we need more than that. And like here, it's like also ignoring what works in that first movie and the concept of the strangers, because it's like, okay, well, these people in masks, they're killing people. Let's find out more about them. Like, no, they're strangers. Did you read the title card at the beginning of your own movie? Like, come on.
Well, and it seemed like with the first Strangers sequel, Prey at Night, this franchise was on a kind of interesting path of just exploring the strangers in different settings. Like the first one was a couple's home, and then the next one, it's like, what if the strangers terrorize a trailer park? Like, why not just keep going in that direction? Like, place them in different settings.
Make like it like make a VHS style anthology, not like anthology movie like that, but like make a movie each year or so that's just the strangers in a different place. Like that would be great. That would be cool. But no, they had to do a trilogy.
Yeah, and like I'd be shocked to find someone who's like super invested in this story. Like the character, like the heroine just isn't terribly interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I enjoyed it on like a surface level. Like it gave me the surface level thrills that I'd want from a slasher movie.
Same.
In terms of, digging deeper, it didn't really satisfy me that much. So
same here. And yeah, it's a perfectly streamable movie for Halloween season. That's the only like ringing endorsement I would give it. I ended up rating it 2 stars on Letterboxd because that hospital sequence is well done. It was well done. If derivative, whatever, but it was well done and I was invested in that. The rest of the movie just kind of didn't work for me on varying levels. But yeah, what did you end up rating it on Letterboxd, Sam?
I was pretty generous. I went 3 stars. Probably going to do 2.5 now.
Nice.
Because I did enjoy it a lot on a surface level. Like, but yeah, I'll be, I'll see the third one opening weekend. I eat this shit up. So
yeah, you're on the payroll to review it on here. So yeah. Don't hold me to that. I can't pay you anything, but
yeah, I was gonna say, pay up, buddy.
I pay in smiles.
No. Yeah, I love being on the show.
Thank you. Well, I love having you on, and yeah, I think that'll do it for our review of The Strangers Chapter 2. Once again, it is in theaters. I would recommend waiting for it to go to streaming or digital, but live your life, do what you want. Yeah, Sam, we're running a little long. Do you want to forego potpourri and just end it all?
Yeah, I just want to watch the world burn, man.
Okay, as it is. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to end the episode. Sam, if you could tell people where they can find you online and if you have any reviews or anything coming up.
Yeah, you can find me at midwestfilmjournal.com. I have a review of The Strangers Chapter 2 up now, as well as reviews of Are We Good and Spawn. I'll have a No Sleep October coming up. It's actually about a Hoosier-made horror movie
Nice.
that was shot in Bloomington, Indiana. It's called Found. That'll be out later this month, I think October 20th.
Nice. That's awesome. I will be on the lookout for that. Very cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Sam, obviously, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and giving me so much of your time. I'm going to give you some time back. But
you sound like a high school principal.
I was going more for corporate thing, but a high school principal. Yeah. I'll give you some time back, but thank you so much, Sam, for joining me. It's always a blast to talk to you. And I'll see you at the Tenderness Tour. Yes.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So that is it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows, Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast hosted by Tiny and myself, and Anthology, the Twilight Zone and classic sci-fi podcast hosted by me. I also forgot to mention that I appeared on a guest episode of, I was a guest on the Short Bites podcast. Check that out. Next week on the show, not sure what I'm going to do, but until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon-exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon-exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And all I'm thinking that whole time before the cops descend on the Italian man, Dom, all I'm thinking is, oh my God, did he lace these with, like, some kind of drugs? Is he demented enough to poison the kids for whatever reason? And I think that that's really a good indicator of how great King's writing is in terms of creating this world building, like creating this world and this dystopian reality, because we're living in a world in this story where kids are being marched on a death march until they all die, essentially, and it's a spectator sport. The fact that it's a spectator sport, the fact that people rally behind them, and the fact that people like watch and spectate on it and bet on it and everything, because of that, I'm thinking like, okay, the moral compass of this society in this story is completely skewed, completely messed up. So I would think that there are people who are just pure evil that would do something nefarious to these kids that are being tortured to death, basically. So I was thinking like, oh my God, did he lace it with drugs? Thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.